How's it going, everybody? Today, in honor of President Trump's 74th birthday and Flag Day, I thought it would be fun to go through the many donations that he has made since being in office. Now, as many know, famously, he stated that he wouldn't take a paycheck to do this, that he was going to do this for free. And of course, you're required to get paid if you're the president. So the presidential salary is $400,000 a year. So every quarter, President Trump donates $100,000 to a different cause. So we'll start here in the first quarter of 2017, where President Trump donated that presidential salary to the National Park Service. And this donation was made to the National Park Service specifically to help repair historic battlefields, which is a pretty cool jump off point there. And you guys know I like history, so I like this one a lot. Now, if you go to the second quarter of 2017, Trump donated this to the Education Department for science camp, or really, if you look closer, space camp. So, if you're like me and as a kid, oh my God, I used to want to go to space camp so bad. I'm not going to lie, I'd probably go right now if that existed for adults and I could. But, yeah, so right off the bat, two really cool ones right there. I definitely think Space Camp is in the running for the best one of all. But if we go to the third quarter here, Donald Trump had donated this one to Health and Human Services to help fight the opioid epidemic. And for people who are in my age group, in their 30s right now, I'm sure they know all too many people who fell victim of this. I remember in the early 2000s, that's when it really ramped up. Obviously, it had always been around, but I feel like it's not really talked about enough, or maybe a little bit more now. But yeah, so this is pretty cool for the third quarter there. And now if we go to the fourth quarter, this was donated to the Department of Transportation to go towards the country's infrastructure. So again, here's someone who really is investing back in America. Well, obviously, in so many more ways than just, giving his time and trying to do so much for the country. And even literally by not accepting his paycheck and in turn putting it back into the country, putting it back into these departments. So that's pretty cool. So now this brings us to 2018. In the first quarter of 2018, he donated that to the Department of Veterans Affairs. And this was specifically going to go towards the caregivers support programs, including mental health, peer support, research, education, training, and financial aid. The VA Secretary Robert Wilk had this to say: "The President's gift underscores his promise to do all that he can for veterans, which includes supporting those who care for our veterans." Very important. Not just those of us at the VA, but the husbands, the wives, the families, and the community caregivers who are out there day in, day out, making life easier for those who have borne the battle. Which is very true. These are the unsung heroes here, the families, for sure. Moving on now to the second quarter of 2018. This one, Trump donated to the Small Business Administration, and this is going towards a program, again, geared towards veterans. Linda McMahon at the time said, quote, that he clearly understands the value of small business. And she said that the money will be used in the SBA's veterans program called Emerging Leaders. And this program will be a 7-month intensive training that helps veterans transition from military life into the private sector. So, really nice one here. I really like this. And of course, I like anything attached to small business. That's really the heart of this country right here, is our small businesses. And veterans, the soul of this country. So that's pretty cool. Now, if we go to the third quarter of 2018, this one was going into alcoholism research. And of course, as we all know, the president famously has told the story a lot that his older brother had suffered from alcoholism, his older brother Fred, and that he really looked up to him, and that he had, implored Mr. Trump to stay away from it, and said his potential could be so much higher. And this is one of the main reasons that he is a straight edge, that he cites that he is completely a sober person. And you could see that it's absolutely been an asset to him his whole life. And I will say, as someone who doesn't drink, I probably haven't drank in about 5-6 years. I think I might have had like one glass of scotch at a wedding somewhere in the middle there. I'm not totally opposed to it or anything. It's just not my style anymore. But it makes a difference. It really does. I've never felt as clear headed as I have these past 5 or 6 years. So this is definitely one that we know is near and dear to the president's heart. And pretty cool. And that's the third quarter of 2018. Moving into the fourth quarter of 2018, President Trump, with this tweet, he declared that he was donating this one to Homeland Security, which obviously is always good, especially right now in these kind of tumultuous times. And that is how we ended 2018, with a donation to the Department of Homeland Security. Now, moving into 2019, this first quarter salary was donated to the United States Department of Agriculture, and this is going to go to help farmers, which really was a big focus of the Trump administration in 2019. That's what a lot of the China trade deals had to do with agriculture and farming. And the reworking of NAFTA was targeted at helping the farmers a lot. So this has been a real theme of 2019. So it's very fitting that his first donation of 2019 was to the Department of Agriculture. Next, for the second quarter of 2019, this one went to the Surgeon General's office. And this was, again, to go towards the opioid epidemic and also to the growing use of e-cigarettes by teenagers, which it's just something I like. My gut on the e-cigarettes is, I don't know. I feel like eventually when the data is done, they're going to wind up being worse than cigarettes. That's just my gut. I don't know. But I quit smoking about 7 years ago. And before that, I had tried a million times. And a lot of times, part of my trying was, I'll get an e-cigarette, and then maybe I'll lean myself off. But really, it just made me want a real cigarette. So, that's never worked. Nothing worked. And a lot of people ask me how I did it because I used to smoke a lot. And I'll say the only thing that worked was cold turkey. And it's funny because that sounds like the hardest, but in a way, it wound up being the easiest. There was nothing like holding me over. And there was a benefits of quitting smoking timeline that really helped. And it was, cool. You watch the first 24 hours, the first 36 hours, the cilia in your lungs are starting to grow back. It was all different things like that. I don't know if those were exactly right, what I just said. But you watch it. And really, one of the things that stuck out to me was that around day 6, the cravings drop off the table. And that's what this thing had told me. And it was true. And it said that they were going to spike on day 4 and 5. And you have to just get through those. But that really helped. And I always try to tell people, go cold turkey, try to get to day 6, and then try to get to day 12. And once you can get a couple weeks under your belt, you realize that it's doable. And that helped me anyway. Obviously, it wasn't easy. But yeah, I have a lot of suspicions against the e-cigarettes. I hope I'm wrong. I know a lot of people who have switched to them and they're a lot happier smoking e-cigarettes than regular cigarettes. But this donation of the second quarter is going to go towards the growing use of e-cigarettes by teenagers. And I think that is really cool. So now takes us to the third quarter of 2019, which again, this donation was made to the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Health to tackle the nation's opioid epidemic. And we really have a big opioid epidemic. I personally think it's been thrust upon this country on purpose. Obviously, people are much more controllable if they're on drugs. I feel the same thing with psych meds. But that's just my own personal opinion. But either way, there is an epidemic, and that's pretty cool. So this is again, now he's donated his salary. This is the third quarter of 2019 that he has donated to help fight opioid crisis. And finally, it's because these are always a little behind, but finally we have the fourth quarter of 2019. And obviously, they do this months after because this doesn't come out right away. So each one of these happened about 3 months after the quarter was finished. This one on March 3rd, about a week before the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus an official pandemic. Trump decided to donate his entire fourth quarter salary of 2019 to help combat the coronavirus. Which again, obviously it's very selfless that he's not taking a paycheck to begin with. But these are all things to help the country. This is a man who really loves this country. He really does. And look what he's done. This man has given up a life of luxury to come work in service of America for free. And to me, that is about the most badass thing you could ever do. And I thought today would be an appropriate day to first of all say happy birthday, Mr. President, and also thank you for everything you do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you soon.